Hey, y'all, you got Doug Gore with Cajun Soft Wash out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And today I'm going to get into the specifics of the issues we had with the Cyclone CY5500 when it arrived to us from the factory. Again, I'm going to get into the specifics, exactly what we dealt with when the machine got to us from the factory. So let's get started. So again, we're going to talk about the CY5500 Cyclone from Cyclone Technologies, owned by Blastrac. And the issues that we had when we very first received this machine from the factory. So on the very back side here, this whole section right here is one great big fiberglass tank, custom built fiberglass tank. You have 5 drains in the back of this, which means they had to cut out 5 holes in the back of this fiberglass tank. When we first got this thing from the factory, 2 of the cutout plugs were still inside this machine, okay? So when they cut the hole out in this fiberglass tank, they didn't remove the cutouts, okay? So that tells me something. In my opinion, there's absolutely no way they could have tested this machine before it left their facility. Why? Because if you put water inside this tank, the design of this tank is to allow this sludge and stuff to come out. If you put water inside there, as we did, the very first time you pull the drain plunger, those cutouts are going to come out. So they could not, in my opinion, could not have put water inside that tank and then drained it out, because the cutouts would have come out. Okay. So problem number 1 was they didn't remove all of the cutout plugs. Okay. Problem number 2 has a lot to do with the ladder. Let me get down here a little ways. So as you can tell right now, the way that this ladder is set up, I should be able to hook drain hoses to these 2 drains, right? This ladder was actually installed over about right here. So it was blocking this port right here. So I couldn't hook a hose to that. Not only that, when we pulled the plunger, stuff would come shooting out, hit the ladder, and splash all over us. From the factory, they had the ladder installed in the wrong place. Not only that, but from the factory, they got bolts up here, right? The holes that they drilled, for the bolts right there, they drilled at an upward angle. So they're on this framework that's here. There was a hole in the back side of the frame from where they drilled their holes. There was a hole in the back of the frame because they didn't drill it straight and true. Okay, and then they didn't bother to seal it up or do anything with it, so water could get inside and rust out the machine. Okay, now I want to point out that I paid $153,000 for this machine. $153,000. Okay. You see this anti-slip tape right here? This has already been replaced. They took it back to their facility and they replaced this tape. It's already almost completely worn off. Almost completely worn off. But wait, didn't I just say that this has already been replaced? Why was this already replaced? From the factory, where I spent $153,000 on this piece of equipment, the anti-slip tape that they had on there was so cheap, it wore off on the very first day. The very first day, almost 100% of this top row of anti-slip was gone. $153,000, and the tape, the anti-slip tape, is so cheap, it's gone on the first day. Okay? Oh, wait a minute. We're nowhere near over with yet. All right, let's come around inside the machine. So, from the factory, there's supposed to be this little label here, warning, stop, and wait, okay? From the factory, the label wasn't on here. So when they took it back to their facility to fix some of the issues, they put the label on because they hadn't put it on from the factory, okay? So, this right here is a check engine light. From the factory, the check engine light was on. They have disputed that, said that's not the case, okay? That would mean in order for them to dispute that they would have had to have checked out this machine, and I don't believe they did. And I'm going to show you why here in a minute. So from the factory, because the very, very, very first time we fired this machine up, this light was on. We didn't know it was a check engine light. Well, first of all, because there was no label on there. We just thought the light was supposed to be on. Okay, the engine's running. Great. Okay. From the factory, check engine light on. From the factory, warning label's not on. From the factory, the ladder's installed incorrectly. From the factory, they use a super cheap anti-slip tape. From the factory, they drilled holes in the ladder incorrectly and left an open hole in the framework. From the factory, they got cutout plugs that are still in the fiberglass tank. But wait, that's not all. We have more. Let's hop inside this machine. From the factory, and this is again why I say I do not believe anybody ever tested this machine. From the factory, the volts was reading incorrectly. Okay, the very first time we got in and fired up this machine, it was sitting at about at 12 volts. Okay, it's supposed to be running closer to 14 volts. Why is that significant? Because from the factory, the alternator was bad. From the factory, the alternator was bad. Not only that, but the reason that the check engine light was on was because it said the coolant sensor was bad. I believe I have paperwork from the Cummins dealership that took this thing in after we got it here, $153,000. The first thing that they had to do was chase wiring issues. They said that it actually turned out not to be the coolant sensor. They replaced the coolant sensor anyhow, but it was the wiring to the coolant sensor. That they had to chase other wiring issues for the machine. Anyhow, so from the factory, the volts are reading correctly. And if somebody had driven this, these are things that I feel like they should have noticed. They should have looked at, right? Wait, what's this thing? Oh, this is a what? What is this? This is called a windshield wiper, right? And there's a switch right here that turns the windshield wiper on and off, right? Well, guess what? The very first time we turned that windshield wiper on, it would not shut off. So from the factory, windshield wiper wouldn't even shut off. Okay, wait. Oh, are we done? No, we're not done. Wait, okay. So down here, I'm sorry I'm making light of this and making it kind of a joking thing to do, but I spent $153,000 on this, and I can't believe the issues that we've had. So my way of dealing with this is really trying to use humor, and it's extremely difficult. But from the factory, this thing right here, this dial is supposed to tell this machine how fast or how slow to go. From the factory, this dial wasn't set correctly. It wasn't, as they said, it wasn't clocked correctly. So if I would set this on a 3 or a 4, the machine would come to a dead stop. From the factory, they should have, in my opinion, somebody should have got in this machine for $153,000 and drove this machine and set it at a specific speed and said, okay, yeah, it's working correctly. Did they not do that? I mean, $153,000. I got cutout plugs that if they would have put water in, should have come out. And they should have had it clocked correctly, and they should have noticed that the volts were reading wrong, and they should have noticed that the check engine light was on. Okay? Oh, and the air conditioner here, it does work, but it does not keep you comfortable. It does not keep you comfortable. At least not here in southern Louisiana, right? Never had the chance to test the heater, but hey. Okay, so these are issues so far from the factory, right? So let's recap. Volts reading incorrectly. When the windshield wiper won't shut off. Machine's not clocked correctly. Air conditioner is kind of a joke in my opinion. Missing indicator plate. Check engine light on. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, by the way. I'm pretty much sure of that. From the factory here, the cutout plugs are still installed, are inside. The ladder's in the wrong place. The holes are cut incorrectly. The anti-slip stuff is so super cheap. I mean, I couldn't even. Wow. Okay, so now, just real quick, we have in this machine, there is a burner right there. Okay. We have anywhere between 2 and 4 hours that we use that burner, and it does not work at this time. Okay, we've parked this machine. We can't operate it anymore because first of all, the pressure pump doesn't come on. So I mean, it can come on, but it comes on kind of whenever it wants to. Does not. It's supposed to operate when you depress the accelerator pedal. It doesn't. It doesn't. I had somebody coming over because this curb cleaner that they have on this machine from the factory, in my opinion, is a joke. But I had somebody come over because I was going to have them design a proper, what I feel like would be a proper curb cleaner. So the guy came over to help design this and needed to see how it currently sprays. We couldn't get it to come on, okay, because the pump doesn't operate. We've got 2 to 4 hours on the burner and it doesn't work, okay. By the way, this is unit number 209, I think. We were told that this is like the third machine to come out of the new factory in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. These are the issues that we had brand new from the factory, Cyclone CY5500. Again, the pump issue is something that wasn't from the factory, and the burner issue isn't something from the factory. They actually did work from the factory, but they're not working now. And this machine hardly has any use on it at all. Most of the time was actually put on, I think, either by Cyclone or by the Cummins dealership, and not by us. By the way, one other point I want to put out there is that when we sent this machine back to Cyclone, we had filled the diesel tank prior to sending it. Not because we were sending it, because we were trying to use the machine. It was just about out. We put diesel in it. So this machine went to Arizona pretty close to full. I don't know exactly where it was. When we got it back, it had a quarter of a tank in it, quarter tank of diesel. I don't know. To me, I just think if you receive a machine with 3/4 or a full tank of diesel, you should return it with 3/4 or a full tank of diesel. That's my opinion. That's how I would have done it. These are the issues that we have had with the Cyclone CY5500 direct from the factory. And I do not believe, this is my review of this product. It is not a good review by any stretch of the imagination. I do not endorse Cyclone Technologies, or the CY5500 or Blast Track, simply because of the dealings that we have personally had with them and the issues we have had with this machine from the factory. Hey, I hope you all have a blessed day, and Doug Gore, Cajun Soft Wash. I appreciate y'all.